This is the Round Table, a talk show brought to you by the Glastonbury Goddess Conference. In this circle, the priestesses of the Ceremonial Circle, the weavers of our annual gathering, talk about pivotal topics about our community, spirituality, and goddess. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Round Table for our third year. The Earth Goddess of Creation is the theme of this year's Goddess Conference that will run from Tuesday the 28th of July until the 2nd of August in Glastonbury in person. So please help me welcome today's panel, which is composed by Roberta Tromboni.
Hi everyone, welcome.
Marion Brigantia.
Hi.
Nikki Swan.
Hello.
Katinka Sutens.
Hi, everyone.
And Demelta Fox.
Hi, everyone.
As in our previous years, what we're going to do in the roundtable is discuss pivotal topics of the Glastonbury Goddess Conference community, but also the goddess community at large and the spiritual community at large, focusing on the main topics of this year's conference. The first topic for today is a very juicy one. It's called the Mother Year. This is not a mood board. Usually we associate the Mother Year with something that looks like one of those mood boards we do in workshops and classes. Everything is pastel colors, really soft, really nurturing, but also the Mother Year brings us this year the Earth Goddess of Creation. So it is a force of nature, it is a creative force. So Katinka, would you like to introduce us how this year conference wants to explore this archetype and how it weaves with the sisters of weaving that we have in the Goddess Conference?
Thank you, darling. Yes, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the Goddess Conference here in Glastonbury has of course been going for over 30 years now. So we've been round and round the wheel with the archetypes a few times, and to find a different aspect is really interesting because of course all the facets of every phase of every goddess is pretty phenomenally endless, really. So this year, as part of this 5-year cycle of the Weaver Sisters, goddesses who together weave the great mantle of life with all their most amazing qualities, we are working with the Mother archetype as Earth Goddess of Creation. Really, that really includes all forms of creation, not just mothering in the form of our children or even the projects that we nurture or mother or care for, but really creation in all, of course, forms of creativity, be that dance, be that spoken word, be that pottery or sculpting or painting or crafting. But actually, how are we the co-creators of our own lives? And then by further extension of life in the world today. And that places that core of co-responsibility, really, that the Mother Goddess actually brings us. Not just as the great mama who does it all for us, on whose lap we can endlessly drink in her sweet milk of forgiveness, her endless love no matter what. That is a very beautiful aspect of the Mother Goddess. But actually, this is really this place of the weaving of co-creation and how that manifests for us.
Yes. Very beautiful.
And since Marion is jumping on board, I think Katinka used a very specific word, which is co-creation. This is, I think, it's a perfect episode also to explain a bit of a transformation that the Goddess Conference herself went through this year. So I think co-creation is a big word this year. Marion, would you agree, and would you introduce us to this transformation?
Yes. Yeah, I was going to jump in. I think when Katinka and I, we kind of thought about how to work with the 5 weavers. We hadn't really thought about starting a whole new chapter this year for the Goddess Conference organization. And so this new birthing is also reflected in the start of a new organization form for the Goddess Conference, because we have become a community interest company. That's not to do with what is actually portrayed in the Goddess Conference for participants to experience, but it is kind of in the background. and it is really a new weaving, a new birthing, a new beginning, and also loads of new creation. And Katinka already just mentioned it. Like you have all the creative arts that we are going to explore and to work with. But it is a bigger creation. It is a creation in your life. It is a creation of new ways of being. So yeah, it fitted really beautifully in. So yeah, you saw me jumping in there. But yeah, I think in the Goddess Conference week itself, we are going to really fill into the creation of life, and how do you create that, what you set out in your pathways, and how are you empowered to really be the creator of your life, the creatrix of your life.
I think there is an interesting concept also within what you and you and Katinka really for the first years, the past long years, you've been co-creating a lot, and you've been able to create so much, and that involved in some good measure also some disruption with the past, with some things, continuation of course traditions, but also disruption, and that is an aspect that maybe is not very much considered sometimes within the mother archetype. So Roberta, for instance, you have a usually successful career as a mother, but also of course as a priestess. In that career, how do you feel that disruption is necessary for creation and for creativity, which is an overlooked process sometimes, or maybe it's fundamental? What's your experience with that?
Yes, I was actually, as you were mentioning it, I was actually thinking about it, and it is true. And I was thinking really in the life of a mother, it is important to never stop to support and, let's say, recreate your children, allowing them to go in their own lives. So the disruption that comes sometimes as a mother, seeing the creation or what you're working, kind of waving with your intention, but the energies comes both ways. So sometimes we have to let go, or we have to face really strong adversity. And I cannot think about how life is going at the moment into all of us, with all of us, or what's happening all around us. But I always think that the energy that a mother can put in is the loving energy and the creating energy of rethink and stay focused in a way from the center of love towards a meeting of energy that can create really something beautiful, something different and more extravagant, or more in line with what we express, which in my case it's love.
Yes, I'm not sure I would use the word disruption necessarily, but though it fits. It is like Roberta is talking about, really this letting go of the previous form, and to really stay focused with clarity on what the new asks for to become, which may not be what you actually thought or actually even have wanted at some point. You have to kind of, and I think you're very clever there to pinpoint that, Roberta, because I think that is actually very much part of the mother energy.
Yeah, this acceptance that things needs to change, and then we still are creatrix into this change, but we have to accept what comes from the other side and wave in really the new, try to wave in maybe our little bit, but create and just stay open with whatever happens.
Yeah, the saying is, from chaos comes creation. And I think it is very much like, sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart, and you don't even see where you're going anymore. But from that, new things come up, and if you think about nature as creation, that is the cycle. It has to die down and then that will nourish the new life and the new creation every springtime, especially in the Northern Hemisphere here, where the seasons are very clear. But it has to be almost chaotic and not sure and unknown, and then there comes the new creation. I like that.
And I wanted to ask Nikki. Nikki has been here with the conference for many years, and she has been part of the organization, and she's a ceremonialist. And I wanted to ask you about this bit, and about Roberta and Katinka were describing how there's this continuation of of all the habits of letting go. It's very it sounds like a ritual in a way, and the Goddess Conference will be a huge in-person ritual in a way. So how would you suggest to enter such a space where the main altar for these days will be the creation? So do we enter with the spirit of letting go? Do we enter with the spirit of wonder? What does the Earth Mother, the Earth Goddess of creation, actually bring in for us who attend the ritual, the transformation, this event?
I think it, for me, would bring in both of those things and more besides. There's a real sense of trust, isn't there, of surrender, of knowing that you can turn up as your authentic self, just be congruent. Whoever you are in this moment, you are so welcome. Whichever aspect of you feels most pertinent to bring, whichever aspect of you you're slightly shy about or trying to hide away because it's in your shadow, or your absolute joy and wonder and excitement, whoever you are in this moment, you are so welcome. And for me, that underpins the whole of the conference.
What I want to suggest also is there is an element of a more spicy element to creation, if we might. Demelza, usually not so spicy bits for you. What I mean by that is that usually you are a very powerful creatrix. I mean, people who follow you on social media or in your activities in real life, or they find, I think, so much inspiration in what you do and in the way you can take an archetype and really transform it and really create a new vision of it, like you do with Morgan Le Fay. You do with many archetypes. I think this is what you do is really creative. And so I want to discuss a bit that. So how does the creative process start for you, and how does that relate with the work you're doing this year for the Goddess Conference?
I think it's a piece about creation. The way that I make stuff, I'm a bit ADHD, so I have 1,000 ideas and they all want to get out of me at once. And I have enough Aries in me that I try to do all of it at once, and it doesn't all get finished. And there are a lot of loose threads out there of projects that have not been finished. That's kind of the way of creativity, right? And for me, when I grew up, my family assumed that when I grew up, I would be an artist in an attic with like 100 cats. And that was kind of the path that was assumed for me from my family. So creativity and living a life that's outside what regular people live was always kind of assumed for me. And I know that's not the way for a lot of people. And I went and I studied art, and I studied dance, and I can paint, and I can make clothes and do all the things. I have to do things with my hands. But I think one of the very interesting things about the Goddess of Creation and the Earth Mother Goddess of Creativity is that all the things that I do, like making headdresses or creating classes or just making new stuff happen, that tends to be what we think of when we think of creativity. Oh, she's so creative. She made a picture of this goddess, and now she's decorating rocks, and now she's made like a statue. Ooh. And it's all things that when we think creativity, we often think art. It is some connection to art. I trained as an artist, so this is my world. But creativity is so much more than just making something pretty, and there are so many different when it comes to art, there are so many different reasons for creating art. Sometimes we create art because we are in devotion to beauty and we want to create something that will move other people. Sometimes we're creating art for our own expression of self. Sometimes we're creating art to make some freaking money. Sometimes we're creating art to process something. Yeah. And all these different versions of art, they have different needs and different energies and different audiences. So when we're thinking about creativity, it's not just I made something, look, here it is. And when we're feeling into the great mother goddess and the earth goddess of creativity and creation, it's really easy to fall into those places of, oh, it's for people who can crochet, or it's for people who like Demi, who like make 12 courses a year and then die in exhaustion over Christmas. It's creation is more than just production of stuff. And I think one thing that I think informs this is that we live in a very capitalist culture, which values production and physical things and things that are produced so that they can be seen and so that they can bring honor and glory and so that they can be made money. So the versions of creativity which have a physical, obvious, oh look, she painted a thing, seem to be more praised than creativity as it shows up in other ways. Because for me, when connecting with the Goddess Conference, it's been a bit of a journey from creativity in this way of, oh, I'm a creative person, I can knit a scarf, I can make a room look nice, I can make some flowers, and this idea of creativity as production or creativity as art, to this deeper Earth Mother Goddess energy where creation is everything is created, and as the goddess, she creates all things. She has created our bodies, she's created our desires, she's created our thoughts. And in the way of goddess spirituality, or at least the way I see it, when we are connecting with the goddess within a ritual, within the extended 5-day mystery school experience of Goddess Conference, we are connecting with and praising and loving a goddess, but we're actually activating that mirror in ourselves. So when we spend 5 days in this transformational field of the creator goddess, that means that we are activating our own abilities to be creator goddesses. And that's much more than just, oh, you're gonna have the confidence to write that blog you've always wanted to write, or oh, you're gonna finish that knitting you always wanted to. It's no, the mother goddess has empowered me to see myself as the creator of my life, and I get to choose. Like any good mama, she doesn't want to raise her babies to be dependent on her forever and to live in her basement and eat her food out of her fridge. She wants to make sure that her children are empowered to live their own lives, and we can always go back to her when our relationships end and we all go home to our mum and cry on the floor and we're like, oh, I didn't, you forgot. She's always there for those moments, but she wants us to be able to dream our own dreams and make ourselves happy at the same time. So I feel like with creation and the conference, it's different for everybody. Like for me, I'm a very artistic person because I was trained that way. That's how I was brought up. Musical family, all this stuff, weirdos, and not everyone has that, and everyone's creativity looks different. Like some people make beautiful tidy homes, that is not my home, and everybody has this reflection of the great creator goddess who is consciously creating every single piece of her life. And that's a really big initiation and thing to step through, and that's really what I've been feeling coming through for Earth Mother of Creation. It has these very real world, tangible, oh, I made things energy, but also there's the great big, oh my god, the goddess of creation, the primordial soup that created everything, the goddess of volcanoes who creates land and all this stuff. And it's not just, oh, the goddess is going to help me crochet a top. It's really big energy.
I love that. Well done. And very much, there is this whole thing of what is creation, like you're saying there, Demi. You know, yes, of course, it's making things of beauty, but it's also our inner creation, our inner landscape creation as a thing of beauty. And how do we commit to that cycle of transformation that we spoke into here, of the, you know, the letting go and the dying down and the refocusing, the rebirthing. And for me, this is very much part of this theme this year, not just your creativity and not just actually physically being a parent either, or to children. You know, it is so much bigger. Life is so much bigger than that. And life is created through us as her presence in so many different ways.
Yeah, and I like also bringing together also what Nikki said. It's like everybody can come in the way they are, and to experience this energy. And although we're not specifically a mother year, I think in all that you have spoken, Nikki, and Melsa as well, I do think that mother energy is not necessarily mother-child energy. I think it's really that unconditional love, probably, and unconditional, what you said as well, Roberta, the unconditional support to say, oh, here you are. Okay, you know, I am here. Whatever you do, no way of specific creation, of creativity, just what do you want? What do you want? And I'm here for you. And for me, that is also that mother energy, not necessarily like fluffy or, you know, but the very unconditional love that goes through the dark places. And when, what you said as well, Demi, like if something goes really wrong, that's her. She is the earth. She is the ground. She is our grounding, where we always come back to. Also in the celebration of what we create, and also, you know, if things are not easy, so she is still the ground to stand on. So for me, that is also very much going back to where we started, Andrea, with the mother. Where is the mother in this thing? For me, that is, I mean, what everybody spoke about is that earth, that grounding, that foundation from where we are able to create, like she is the great creatrix.
I would love to pick from the 5 Weaving Sisters, actually, Marion, because that's really powerful. That was something you wrote as ceremonialists and directionals of the Goddess Conference, which is she creates within us. We are her voice, her hands, her love in action. We are heart, wombs, and heart, minds. We are her body and our body, hearts, minds, and all that we choose to create in and from love. This contribution, which is beautiful and is and it's a very good read, really inspiring, can be found on the Goddess Conference website at goddessconference.com. But I wanted to talk about that because, as the Melsa really pointed out, there are 2 aspects of this earth goddess of creation. I think there is one aspect where we go back to the mother, which is the more familiar for us. I mean, we go back to the mother goddess. We can return to her. Returning, there was this theme. But also, if we are her, I mean, if we are the archetype, if we are the weaving sister, it means that we create, but also it involves, I think, freedom and responsibility, but viewing what you create grow outside of you and letting it shapeshift and change and love something sometimes that you have no full control of. I think it happens with your creation of ceremonies and so on. So I think as Earth Goddess of Creation is the main theme, I think it's that specific angle of motherhood in a way, you know, is woven in. So what's your take on it? I mean, have you ever witnessed big operas of your life, big creations of yours, not get out of your hands or control, but flow out of you and witness them thrive or change or evolve into something completely different? And how did you deal with that?
I can jump in. Like, personally, I have an experience of one life and 1,000 lives. Like I created in my life, I changed my personal life so many times. And there is a little bit that energy of when something really goes in a different way from when you started thinking about it and creating it. It's just really that big teaching that for me Goddess give us as mother and also as her that make us stand out, really of trust and surrender in this process. Life is evolving and really to let's see what come next. To me it's always like, okay, well, this was gone, needed to have his own life. I teach art, and I always say to my students, every piece of art has his own life. You're just the creator of it, but the piece of art just has a life on its own with the interaction of everybody else. So it's just, to me, it's just like, try again, trust and surrender. And when this big thing comes up, just let them go and then move to somewhere else.
Nikki, do you want to say anything on that as well?
I like the idea of trust and surrender. I think that's so real, isn't it? And I think that can be a real challenge as well. We can have those out there as thoughts that feel good, and maybe we want to go for that. But in order to trust and surrender, if it's not a recognizable path, it can feel like a scary path sometimes. And so for me, especially if I think about productivity and things like that, as that came up earlier, there's a real sense around judgment of that. If we think about the output of art, the first thing it does is get graded by staff or someone from home. Oh, that's a good picture, well done, or you could improve this by doing X, Y, Z, and those kind of things. And so for me, part of the push for that is just to release the judgment, just to let it go, release the judgment for others, release the judgment for yourself, and just have the process, because the process, the journey, is the absolute beautiful part of it, even though it might feel scary and unfamiliar at times.
I think that is very much part of art, isn't it? It's like, if you go to a museum, just thinking about a museum, especially modern art for me, it's like you look at it like, okay, I have no idea. And then it invites you to think about, and the feelings come up, and you really have to engage with the art. And this is what I'm thinking, what I was thinking when you say that, Andrea, because the painter might have had an idea. They might have had, this is an abstract landscape with trees, and I see a boat on the water, or whatever, or not, or I see just surrender into the green space or whatever. But what I'm saying is that the judgment, what you're talking about, Nikki, I think an opinion is okay, or an exploration of art, but to go and to say, this is not right, or this is wrong, or this, you can't do that with art, because I think art is always beautiful on the level of the interaction with the person who sees it. And I this is one of the things, of course, in the when you start in this art, in school, really, saying this is an example that is often used, but like if a child draws a purple tree and the teacher says there are no purple trees, and I'm like, immediately it's kind of bringing down that freedom of creation, that freedom of just letting go where it goes, and I think everybody's experienced that in one way or another. So to have that confirmation, like, here you go, that's fine, it's beautiful what you do.
And isn't life a little bit like that? I think life reflects art, or art reflects life, in that aspect that as creators of our lives, we are all unique, completely unique, and have our own journeys and experiences and interpretations of life weaving through us. And at the same time, we're all completely replaceable. None of us are that special that our creation is that unique that it needs to last forever. I think that's a really a thing that also for me is very much part of the conference, the creation of the Goddess Conference, in that we all work together to create the most amazing event that we can come up with, and through which she manifests for people to experience a goddess as a real presence in the world and in people's lives. And then ultimately she will do with that what she wants, and none of us are actually that important. So it's a very good check on the old ego, really, when it comes to creation, that really, though we are unique, absolutely, on the one hand, we are also absolutely replaceable. And I actually really like that. And maybe that leads back into your thing about the what you call the disruptive, or the change, really, the transformational aspect of the goddess of creation. Yeah, that everything she touches changes, and she changes everything she touches.
That's exactly the point. And also I think what you are doing, and what the Goddess Conference does really brilliantly, is creating that purple tree. The point is that if one children creates a purple tree, everyone else says, it's a purple tree, it's weird. But the intention of hundreds of people who gather for the Goddess Conference actually makes that purple tree very much real. And that's what you do really brilliantly. That's what we all do when we gather together. I think there is an intention of many replaceable and creatively chaotic people gathering together, but for a common intent. And I think in those 5-6 days, that's what we all carry home with us, every year. I think that's what happens. And if you ask, I think all the people who came to the Goddess Conference also the previous years, I think they never had one memory, but they have a feeling, they have this connection. I need to go back, I want to go back, I want to stay in that. And that's what co-creation is. That's what's in a way disruption from the ego trip, which can be creation sometimes, is the Goddess Conference. And I want to remind everyone following us today that the Goddess Conference will run this year again in person in Glastonbury. Book your tickets on goddessconference.com, and it will run from Tuesday the 28th of July to the 2nd of August. It's a Sunday, and there's a huge procession at the end, as every year.
Yes, see you at conference. Don't miss out. Give it to yourself as an act of creation.
Yes, so please don't miss Roberta, Marion, Katinka, Nikki, and Demelta at conference. They are all part of the ceremonialist and directional groups. They will be leading the boat with creation. And so join us for the Goddess Conference, Earth Goddess of Creation this year. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you the next time.